What's up, hard chargers? Back with Kyle Miller.
And Al Cohen. How are you, Kyle?
Better than I deserve, as Dave Ramsey would say.
Last time we were together, we were at the State House, right, Kyle?
That's right. Right there
And
in the
what were
midst
we
of the
doing
action. We were right there in the midst of the action. And we
That's
were
right.
watching the veto override. And there was 60-something line items that Governor DeWine vetoed, which I still to this day, I mean, I hear all the different backroom talks and everything else. I still have not heard a good reason for why he overrode some of the items he overrode as a governor who's termed out. So if you're asking, I have no clue why. You know,
It was item 66, which had to do with replacement levies. And I think some of the wording around replacement levies to make it clearer as to what they actually are.
With replacement levies, I think it leaves the regular individual who's, you know, Sally hairdresser, Joe Screwdriver, Mike the accountant, you know, they hear replacement and they think, okay, this is just it's going to replace this one. It's the same thing. Or renewal. It's just going to renew the existing one. And then what happens is it's going to trigger an audit to determine how much the properties are worth now. So that way, it's charging the correct millage, which
Correct.
Everybody knows millage. That's a term you hear every day. It's like, how much was that? Oh, that's going to be 2,000 mils, bruh.
That's right. And 2,000 mils, how much would that be? What is it? It's 1/100,000th?
It's 1/1000th of a penny.
1/1000th of a penny.
Mm-hmm.
And so 1/1000th of all the pennies that you paid for your house. And that's what millage is. Okay. Interesting.
Yep. But so anyways, that was a good one to override. Still a lot more out there to be done, and we'll keep everybody abreast of that, obviously.
Yeah, I think I was surprised that there was only one thing that they overrode, partially because it was such a monumental effort to get everybody back to do that override. I mean, there were people that canceled their vacations, came back from their vacations just to gather in Columbus because that vote had to happen in person. So yeah. I was impressed that they made that effort, but also frankly a little disappointed that we only got to override one thing.
Well, I think that's part of the folks that are going to get involved with us who are listening to this and you're wondering what's next. Part of it is trying to encourage the legislature, you know, the House and the Senate here in Ohio, to whip up the votes. And if they're having any problems whipping up those votes, we'd like to know why and try to help them solve that problem and get the votes whipped up to override some more of the, the vetoes that were pretty, important for property tax reform. Because clearly property taxes are a pain point. They're a friction point. Otherwise, you wouldn't have this ballot initiative going on to eliminate them. So.
Yep, that's exactly right.
We could talk about this on another podcast, not a podcast, but I met with two of the original folks that started that ballot initiative. Got to pick their brain for over an hour and a half at lunch.
Right. Yes, you
Drove
did.
an hour and 45 minutes to go talk with them. Great guys, awesome guys, had a lot to say.
And I'm just curious, like, how did that movement start? Like, how did they start the ballot initiative?
Basically how every movement starts, even in my own house, you just don't feel heard. And so then you just start saying, okay, so I mean, to hear these guys talk, they went to their local elected officials. They said, this is a problem. The local elected said, too bad. This is how things go. You don't like it. You can run against us. You could vote us out. But like, otherwise, this is how it goes. So then they went to their state elected officials, and not just like the one that represents them in their county. They went to the other ones around them. So the other representatives, and they all said, too bad. This is how it goes. And they said, okay, you think we're not serious? And so then they started the ballot initiative.
I love that. I love to hear that because that really is people power. And you want to know something? Like, they got frustrated enough. They did something about it. And now it is the talk in Cap Square is property taxes and that ballot initiative. So
they're leading it. I think that that pressure is probably what, helped to get a lot of the property tax reform put into the budget, is that they know that it's an issue. Like, they got to do something. It is a ever growing, like daily growing movement.
Yep.
And it has cost them very little money to do it. And that's how you know that it's a real grassroots bottom up movement. So
that's right. That's really exciting to hear because I think it's easy to get jaded, especially, nowadays in the political realm. And so to hear a success story of just like, what did you say, Joe Screwdriver, just, regular people making a difference. And that's really cool.
And it's not saying that we necessarily as AFP support everything about that or anything, but it's just you got to admire the grassroots.
That is the business we're in. I mean?
Yeah, and it
so,
is a matter. Like, it is a topic. So
game respects game. So yeah.
Well worded.
Thank
All
you.
right, but the big beautiful bill.
Yep. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. So, first of all, the bill is huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
And it has everything in there, all kinds of different pieces that go into this and this and this and all the different sectors. So it's not like, I think when people think of a bill, they're thinking one thing that's on one topic and it's, a couple of pages or something. This is huge. More
Yeah.
than likely, the people voting on it didn't read the whole thing. Highly likely that they got
But in
that
those
brief.
5,000 pages, we like everything in there, right? Kyle, like it's all perfect. We got everything we wanted and nothing we didn't, and we got to compromise on everything, right?
Well, so I think this is the battle right now that we're in, is that Democrats and folks that don't like having Republicans in charge, what they want to point at is all the bad things that was in the bill. And they want to say, this is what Republicans voted for that was bad. And in a bill that big, you're going to have bad things. So what they're trying to say is, and what they're trying to hang around the neck of Republicans is, anything that's bad, you voted on it. And as a Democrat, if I voted against it, then I didn't vote for these bad things. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to point out, okay, there's going to be some bad things in here, but what about all the good things? And so what we're trying to make sure everybody knows is all the good things that you're benefiting from, just remember Democrats, if they had their way, they voted against that. So as much as they want to point at Republicans for any of the bad stuff that's come out of this, you got to give them credit for the good stuff. And then you have to take the blame for not voting on the good stuff.
So can you give me an example from the lens of what like AFP is working on, like one thing that we really liked about the big beautiful bill?
Yeah, I think first of all, we prefer to just eliminate taxes, but carve outs typically lead to more and more carve outs and then hopefully an elimination, if that makes sense. So
Yes.
it's not that we're in favor of carve outs as opposed to just eliminating it for everybody, but it's a good step in the right direction, and so one of those is the no tax on overtime. And the thing that we do appreciate about that, I believe, is that it offers relief to folks, right? So, but guess who this impacts, right? Let's talk about who this impacts. Who works overtime? You got a lot of construction workers that are working overtime, police, teachers, firefighters,
childcare workers,
childcare workers. These folks are the ones that are doing that. And so this means that they're going to be able to pay less in taxes and keep more of that for their monthly bills.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's a really good portion there.
Cool. And when does that go into effect for people?
I believe it said that it's going to be, my understanding in the reading is that they're going to allow you to do an estimate for whatever it was up until a certain point of 2025, or maybe all of 2025 on your 2026 tax returns.
Okay. Anything else on Big Beautiful Bill that we should know about?
When you're dealing with a bill of this size and it's got all the negatives in there, you have to find a positive that outweighs the negatives if you want to support it. And if you can't find that, then you need to be against it. And the positive for us that outweighed all the negatives was the renewal of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, because it was going to expire. So it wasn't like it may or may not. No, it was going to expire if not renewed. Whether you like all the other stuff that's in there or not, it was lumped in there with that. And they weren't going to pill it out. Nobody was going to pill it out and put it on its own. So it was going to be too consequential in this day and age to let the taxes go up.
That's
You
right.
would have seen a huge economic issue there.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. People are already struggling, and then to have your federal taxes shoot up, not ideal.
Yeah. But, I think there's 4 key areas that over the coming weeks and months, basically for the rest of this year, we're going to talk about the big, beautiful bill. That is border security, taxes, healthcare, and what was the other one? And energy. So, well, we got a lot of events coming up. First of all, I do want to point out, I'm wearing a throwback. If you see anybody wearing the logo like this, that's because they're an OG. All right. I ain't got that swag. So you won't see her rocking it.
First of all, I do have that swag. Second of all, Kennedy, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. And I did point this out to Kyle before we recorded. Kennedy's our brand manager and ambassador, so she's going to be very disappointed that I let this fly. But yes, we have some really exciting upcoming events coming up in August. Let's see. August 4th, we've got the Override for Opportunity. What's next for school choice and ESAs? That's down there in Mason, Ohio, next to me. Then the Buckeye Blueprint Breakfast Club meets at the Dayton office on August the 8th. And then on August 20th, this is really cool. Vivek Ramaswamy here in Ohio is going to be joining a bunch of groups in Columbus to talk about education and have some panel discussions up there. So that's August 20th, 6 to 8 p.m. And of course, you can find all of our events on buckeyeblueprint.com/events.
Al's going to put a link to all these in the description, I'm sure. And don't forget, we have our online chapter meeting every month. What day is that this month?
August 18th. How could I have forgotten that? August 18th, 6:30 p.m. It's a Monday night, as always, and I'll put the link in the description as well.
I got you, Al. And we got you guys. So keep charging hard chargers, and we'll see you out in the field.